Hi, my name is Vittoria and I live in London. This is my lockdown experience. The UK declared a lockdown last Monday evening, but my flatmates and I have been self-isolating for longer than that. So we've actually been in the house for nearly 3 weeks now. Before this whole thing started, my life consisted in a mixture of studying and university and Extinction Rebellion, basically. So, on the uni side of things, I'm actually intrigued to see how my university will adapt to this situation. I spent the whole first semester arguing with my professors to put online materials so that I didn't have to bring paper to uni, and I think this will be a big shift for them. So I'm actually really curious to see what happens there. The thing that has really been impacted the most in my tiny little world is the fact that all Extinction Rebellion meetings have been moved online. If you're not familiar with Extinction Rebellion, we are a movement trying to push for action against the climate crisis. And usually, all of the protests are carried out in person. So you might have heard about the April Rebellion or October Rebellion, where Extinction Rebellion blocked London. And because the movement is a movement to preserve life, having large gatherings is not compatible with our philosophy, I suppose. There were some meetings that were already happening on Zoom beforehand because of, the fact that we want to be an inclusive movement as well. So some people who might have not been able to leave the house before this whole quarantine situation would have been able to log in on Zoom and join some meetings. But now, obviously, that is all meetings. I'm finding it really difficult to not have any human contact with anyone. I guess I'm really lucky that I have really good mates and we get along really well. We've been keeping each other company and cooking together, and we all have our ups and downs, but I think we're doing quite well in supporting each other. And I guess the most difficult part for me so far has been when I ended up reading an article about the fact that social distancing might have to last a minimum of 6 months in the UK, if not for a whole year. And the idea of that is just excruciating. Initially, the government had a policy where they wanted everyone to get infected, apparently, and get a herd immunity. I'm not a scientist. Various different countries have dealt with the situation differently. And I think that most of us have gone through that phase of denial, myself included, where we all thought that this was not going to be as serious as it is. Now it looks like the government is taking it a lot more seriously. Apparently, they are ramping up efforts to create new hospitals and new intensive care spaces in those hospitals. The NHS was never in good shape. That was a very contentious reason why a lot of people voted Brexit in this country, because they believed that if we left the EU, then all that money could go to fund the NHS. A lot of people in the UK appreciates the work the NHS does and is really thankful for the healthcare system here. And the fact that it was already in bad shape before this pandemic is really worrying. On a community level, it's really good that a lot of people, obviously including myself, have volunteered to help the NHS with tasks like delivering emergency medicine and stuff like that. also before the government rolled out this volunteering scheme, there were communities self-organizing to help out their neighbors and those who were self-isolating, the people who are most vulnerable. This crisis, all future crises, we need to think about people who are marginalized and people who have disadvantages already. I think we need to remember that we're very lucky to be able to stay indoors, to have a safe place to quarantine, to have running water, to be able to just, sit all day watching Netflix, reading books, learning, where a lot of people don't have that opportunity. Hopefully, a lot of people who are in privileged positions realize that the system only really works for them, but only when the system is actually working. The system isn't working. We've seen how fragile it is. There has been talk about who will be allowed to immigrate to this country after Brexit. And there has been discussion about who are the skilled workers, who are the key workers that the UK needs. I think this is really a turning point in reconsidering what that word actually means. So, what I think will happen next is obviously there's going to be a massive economic crisis, and the government will try and do everything in its power to get the economy up and running again. What I hope will happen is that this will be an opportunity to reshape and fix the things that clearly didn't work before, rather than patching up the system that was broken to begin with and now is even more broken. Don't be too harsh on yourself. If you need to feel sad, feel sad. Everyone's been deprived of big moments. Everyone's being deprived of things, some more than others, but everyone has a right to feel sad and upset. But when you're done with that, then focus on what you want life to be after this, what you want the world to look like after this, and work towards that.